Greetings from sunny Florida in the United States. I am down here in South Florida. It is a beautiful day here. I hope it's a beautiful day there. And today we're going to talk about social media and its place in your marketing. Now, if you're here to learn how to create Facebook ads or Instagram ads or Twitter ads, I know, right? Twitter ads, that's not what I'm talking about, okay? I'm talking about how to use social media appropriately in your marketing funnel. And we're going to talk about what a marketing funnel is, how to create, the basics of how to create one so that you can go through and think it through. But first, this is the first in the series. Now, we're going to take it up to a certain point today. And then next month, I've got a special guest coming on, and she's going to talk about using your mailing list, okay? And that's a whole different topic, and she's one of the SiteGround ambassadors. You're really going to like that, but this is the first in a two-part series on helping marketing your site. But before we get involved in it, let's review a little bit from last month. I don't know how many of y'all were here for last month, but last month we started working on Fat Beard's Pirate Coffee. That's my website. And we basically set it up from scratch, and we set up WooCommerce. We got a product in there. I've made it look a little bit better, not a lot. I am not a designer. I am married to the lovely and talented Kathy. She is a wonderful graphic artist. And whenever I'm doing anything serious, she takes care of it. If you see anything on the web that has my name on it and it looks good, it's because of her, not me. But we've got Fat Beard's Pirate Coffee, the only coffee so strong it's sold in a mason jar. And we've got our first product on here, and let's click on that. And you can see I went ahead and put a bigger description in, and I put some product from stock in. I actually bought some stock. I have a customer review, which was, okay, that was me, saying just how wonderful Fat Beard's whiskey-infused coffee is. But you'll notice that I did not do a lot of the stuff that people normally do. I didn't futz much with the themes and the color schemes and logos and identity packages and all of the other things that consultants all around the world and contractors get paid a lot of money to convince you that you have to do. What I did here is I got me a minimum viable product. At the end of this, I'm going to recommend a couple books to you. And in one of those books, he tells a story about the beer Sam Adams out of Boston, here in the US. And when they started Sam Adams, the founder of it was sitting there one day, and he was online, and he was picking out a computer. He was probably at Dell or something like that, and he was picking out a computer. And his mentor and largest investor called him and says, what you doing right now? He says, well, I'm picking out a computer because I figure that with all the orders I'm going to be taking, I need some way to capture them all and process them all. And he looked at it and says, what you need to be doing is you need to be taking your product out there and getting out there and selling. He says, I've never seen a company go under because they had too many orders and not enough computing power, but I've seen a lot of companies go under because they don't have enough orders, even though they might have the computing power. And so this is one of those I'm trying to keep things in order. I still don't even have a logo for Fat Beard's Pirate Coffee. I did not create a identity package or anything. This is a minimum viable product, and it's up here. And now I can at least figure out if anybody wants to buy the thing, okay? If nobody wants to buy it, why invest the other money in all the other stuff? Because if I can't convince people that the product itself is good, putting a nice logo or good packaging or a beautiful theme, that's not going to help at all. Now, we got our minimum viable product out. So far, I am out a grand total of $0. Other than my SiteGround monthly hosting, I don't have anything invested in this. I've just got the site up and running. Okay. So, and you can see this at, fatbeardpiratcoffee.com. You can actually order it. You can't pay for it because I'm not setting up payment processors. And if you order it, the orders just go in a black hole. But I have set it up so that I can see all the way end to end what that's going to look like. Okay. That's the review portion of our show. Where's that? There we go. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about social media marketing. Everybody loves social media marketing because everybody figures social media marketing is one of two things, either pay for clicks or pay-per-click or free. And a lot of new entrepreneurs or new store owners will say, hey, I can set up my Twitter account or I can set up my Facebook and I can start posting links and just everybody's going to flock to my store. It's not going to happen. I can tell you this right now. I don't care what your product is. If that's your sales strategy, it's not going to work. You got to rethink it right now. Social media marketing is all about being an active member of your community. Now, that doesn't mean you should be shy about why you're a member of that community, but it's not necessary to beat people over the head with your authors either, okay? Make sure that as you engage with your community, that people understand that you do have products to sell, but make sure that they also understand that you're here to be a part of this community. People don't think about this, but one thing that you need to make sure you do is if your community has a Facebook group or other type of social group, then understand the rules before you start posting and follow those rules. Because honestly, getting banned from a group, that didn't help you at all. I'm a scuba diver, and I'm a member of a scuba divers group here in South Florida on Facebook. And I love that the manager of this Facebook user group will, the first time somebody violates the rule, there is a rule, no commercial posts. You're not allowed to post, hey, my shop is selling this, or we have seats on that boat, or whatever. You're not allowed to post that. But the first time you violate that, she goes in and she tags you in a comment on the post rules. If you look at the rules, there's hundreds of tags where people have violated this over the year. And but that way it pops up and you're reminded, these are the rules. Now, the second time, you're kicked. You're out. You only get 2 shots at it. And quite honestly, if you're a scuba shop and you get warned one time and you post again and you get kicked, you deserve to be out because you don't understand that that's not the point of being a part of that community. The other example I'll give you is LinkedIn. Now, some people don't consider LinkedIn social media, but it absolutely is. It's just social media on the professional side. And I'm one of the managers of the PHP community LinkedIn group. Now, when you join, before you join, we show you the rules and we tell you no job postings, no recruiters, no HR. And there's nothing wrong with any of that. I have nothing against recruiters or HR people or anything like that, but this group is not for them. And so every day I'll go in and approve 2 people and disapprove 4 people to join that group because I'll have 4 HR people trying to get in and only 2 that are actually developers. If I see somebody sneak in, because there's 20,000, 30,000 people in that group now. If I see somebody has snuck in and they post a job ad or something inappropriate, not only do I delete them, or delete the post, I ban them. Now, you might say, well, they got their post up there for 24 hours until you noticed it. Yeah, but they can never, ever talk to that community again. Social media marketing is all about being part of your community and being a good member of that community. Now, I've got a favorite dive shop here in South Florida, and they post on Facebook a lot, okay? But only 1 out of 5 posts is them selling something. It's usually we've got seats on the boat for this date, this date, and this date. The rest of their posts are community updates, community-focused articles that they have found. Community jokes. Yes, divers have dive jokes, okay? Then they post an ad about something that they sell, but then they'll post community events as well. So they do a 5-to-1 ratio, and I've seen other other social media experts talk about this 5-to-1 ratio, but that's really about as often as you want to post something that is commercial on your site, on your social media. Now, I'm not suggesting that anybody follow me on Twitter, because I talk about programming on Twitter mostly, and most of y'all probably not interested. But if you ever do look at my account on Twitter, you'll notice that there's a lot of automated posts that go out. Those are not all me selling stuff, but those are my ones. The other ones, usually the other 4, are the conversations that I have with people. And that's how I manage it. I have automated systems that take care of the one for me. It's just my job to go out and post 5 to 10 other things during the day that are not commercial in nature. You've got to remember that the community that you're trying to talk to is not your personal slot machine where you can pull the lever anytime you need to get a payout. It's not your personal echo chamber where what you say should be taken as gospel, no matter who you are. That's not what the community is for. It's not your personal anything. For the past 16 years, I've spent most of my career as a community advocate, speaking to the PHP community. And most of that I've spent actually being paid to do that, which is just an awesome job. But early on, I learned a very important lesson that I've seen some community advocates not learn. And that is, and I tweeted this out last night as I was preparing these or going over these slides. The community was there before I got there, and the community will be there long after I'm gone. I'm just a member of the community. I didn't create this community, so I need to be a good member of this community. Now, social media is your virtual connection to your community, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, however other community you're a part of. This is your connection. And with the PHP community, we are so distributed worldwide. We get together in conferences around the world, but it's not like we all can get together once a year and see each other and shake hands. So we're largely an online community, as opposed to the South Florida divers community, where we see each other at the different dive sites and stuff like that on a regular basis. But if you've got a distributed community, or you're trying to market your product worldwide, then social media is your virtual connection to your community. Each one of these communities, or each one of these platforms, has a focus. Each has a point, and each has a different audience. Now, what you've got to figure out is where your audience is. So look around. Spend some quality time before you invest any money. Spend some quality time digging into your potential audience. And when I say quality time, I'm talking weeks, not hours. Okay, you should be monitoring all the social media channels that you can find where your audience is on a regular basis for weeks before you start to make any decisions about this is where my audience is. Now, once you find the most popular platform or network, you can safely ignore those others, okay? Because the problem that a lot of people have is they feel like they've got to be everywhere all the time, and that's just not true. Focus your energy on the one where the most of your network is, or the most of your community is, and ignore the other ones for right now. Work that one like it's a vein of gold. And when it plays out, then look for another one. The PHP community is largely on Twitter. We have little pockets all over the place, but we're largely on Twitter. We talk to each other via Twitter. So you'll see me very active on Twitter. The dive community, on the other hand, is very active on Facebook. So in South Florida, I'm a member of a couple dive groups, and I talk to my local shops a lot. So if you see me on Facebook, you're most likely going to see me talking diving, because that's where that community is. Yes, Facebook has a PHP community, and yes, I'm a member of it, and every now and then I'll answer a question, but that's not where the majority of them are. So that's not where I spend a lot of my time. Okay. The first thing what you need to know about social media is all about engagement. Don't just broadcast. You have to get out there and talk to people. Like, remember I said that I have a lot of automated posts on Twitter. That's not engagement. People do not engage with that. Occasionally somebody might retweet it or something like that, but they don't engage with it. On the other hand, when I posted last night about being a part of the community and the community not being, or the community being there long before I was there, I got a lot of engagement on that. People talk to me. And that's what you're looking for. You're looking for building that engagement, and you cannot automate that engagement. Then you're looking for promotion. Okay. Once you start engaging people and you started talking and people are following you and they're listening to what you say, then you can do a little promotion. Okay. And then my favorite is getting them from moving them from social media and moving them onto my email list. Okay. I will talk a little bit more about email lists in a minute. Influencers, people talk a lot, when they talk about social media, they talk a lot about influencers. And I want to explain the fallacy of influencers. You need to make friends on social media more than you need to hire influencers. See, if you make a friend and you do someone a favor, okay, you send them a free product or you answer a question for them, they're very likely to respond positively if you ask them for a favor back later on. Like, hey, can you share this for me? Okay. If you do 10 favors for people, and that's not difficult to do on most social media networks, answer 10 questions, you've done 10 favors, then that's potentially 10 shares. Over time, this adds up. Now, no, you can hire an influencer that has 100,000 people and you can hit them all in one day, boom, but then it's gone. If you do it this way, and if you build up these friendships, and if you build up this engagement, then you spread that out over time, and you can still get to that 100,000, but it's spread out, and it's going to make a lot more difference, because the thing we learned in the early days of TV is repetition is what counts. That's why you see the same ad over and over and over again, is because of that repetition. That's what gets people to actually move and to take action on your on whatever you're promoting, and that's really what helps. So, influencers, hey, if you got a bucket of money, then hey, go after the influencers. And if you are looking to market to the PHP community and you have said bucket of money, I am an influencer. Would love to talk to you about my rate card, but in reality, most people don't have that. And what they need is they need to start building that engagement, and they need to start doing those favors, and they need to start asking for those shares. So if you answer 10 questions and then the next thing you do is post a, hey, take a look, or hey, I'd like you to join my mailing list so I can talk to you, then you can ask those 10 people, hey, would you share that on whatever social media you're doing it on? Okay. Like I said, community was there before you got there. I mean, unless you invented an entire new genre of product and you hold an ironclad patent on it, you didn't invent the community that you want to speak to. It was already there when you arrived. Fatbeard's Pirate Coffee did not invent coffee. We didn't even invent alcohol-infused coffee. Believe it or not, this is a real thing. And people are selling it out there. And there are some good ones out there. Our community, though, is already out there. But to get them to buy from us, they've got to trust us. To get them to trust us, they've got to like us. And to get them to like us, they got to know who we are. So focus your social media efforts not on selling widgets, but getting your community to know you, and then to like you, and then to trust you. And once you can get their attention, and once you can do them a favor, then they're going to know you and they're going to like you. And because you've helped them, they're going to trust you. And then you can start getting them to buy things from you. So we're going to talk a little bit sales theory now. Now, if you're familiar with the sales funnel, then that's fine. We're going to talk a little bit about the sales funnel as it relates to e-commerce. Sales happens in a funnel. Leads drop into the big end. Oop, you can't see that. Leads drop into the big end. They come out, or they filter out in the process, in the middle of our funnel, and they come out, what comes out on the small end are sales or at least qualified leads, people that are really interested in your products. Social media, that's the big end. Your website, your pictures, your content, your blog post, all of that, that's your middle. And your mailing list or actual purchases, your call to action, those are the bottom of your funnel. That's your sales funnel. So let's talk a little bit about that. We pour all of our social media efforts into the big end of our sales funnel. We cast a wide net. We try to draw in as many people as we can. We do silly things, like we post photos of ourselves in amusing situations. I posted one yesterday on Instagram of me at 95 feet underwater. I took an underwater selfie, which is about the most boring thing you can do, with all the fish. And we were on a beautiful wreck called the SS Dwayne. With all of that around, I'm taking pictures of myself. I posted that and I got several likes. We post photos of people using our products. Coke did a beautiful campaign several years ago on Instagram where it was just post pictures of you holding a Coke, and they had a contest behind it, but you had to post to win, and they got so much groundswell support. Posting stories of someone who used our product and it's changed their lives. Now, I'm really not sure how alcohol-infused coffee is going to change somebody's life, but hey, we can hope, right? The more good attention we can draw to ourselves, the better. Because more attention is the more people who know us. And that's the whole point of social media, is to get people to know us, get their attention. Hey, we're here. Once we've got their attention, we can start drawing them in. And once we can get them into that middle of the funnel, that's where we work on the rest, the like and the trust. Social media was not generally designed as a sales channel. Now, I know they all sell ads, but that's not why people go out there, okay? People don't go surf Facebook looking for something new to buy. Now, I will be honest. If I'm sitting on a Zoom meeting, I have been known to just pull up Amazon and surf Amazon for cool new things that I hopefully don't get suckered into buy, but every now and then I do get suckered into buy these things. But that's Amazon. I don't go out to Facebook going, what ads are on today? Can I buy something? That's not why I go to Facebook. I go to Facebook to talk to my dive buddies and my dive friends. So don't try to force people's attention away from what they're doing. Be a part of what they're doing. Okay, on mine, I'm being an active member of the dive community. I've got some things I want to sell to them, but I'm not ready yet to try to sell it to them. I want to get their attention. I want to get them to know me. And once they can get to know me, then I can get them to take that next step. A big part of all of this social media marketing is community building. Okay, we've just talked about what it takes to be an active part of the community. When you do that, when you contribute first, you start to build the know and the like. When people see that you're not there just with your hand out, but you're there with a helping hand, then people begin to know you and they begin to like you. Okay, middle of the funnel. We've got their attention. Now what? Well, we need to drive them to some kind of action. If you can take one small step, or if you can get them to take one small step, it's easier to get them to take the next small step and the next one and the next one. So the point of your social media is to lead them down the beginning of the path, to start them down that path, to get one single click. Because if you can get them to click once, then the next time they see you, oh, hey, I like that last time. Let's click again. And if you can get them to click 2 or 3 times and they like what you're doing, then they're conditioned to like you and they've started to know you, then they'll begin to trust you. So baby step them down the path. If they came to your site to look at a specific product or offer, yes, give them an easy to find call to action. The big order now button. Matter of fact, it should probably be on your page 2 or 3 times, depending on how much copy you have. If they came because you said, hey, sign up for my email list, and I've got a one tweet that goes out about once every 10 days, that is nothing more than, hey, if you're not getting your daily allowance of email, join my mailing list. And it's a link to join my mailing list. That's all it is. That's my call to action on that one. But I've built the know and the like with all the other stuff. So once every 10 days, I send you out that one. But even if they're going to join your mailing list, ask for the absolute minimum amount of information. Now, here in the U.S., we don't have the problems with the GDPR if we're not dealing with people in Europe, but security and privacy is becoming more and more of an issue. I'm a big privacy nut. Okay, I don't like collecting information I don't need. So keep it to the minimum, because if you don't need it, why be responsible for it? These days, if you're signing up for my mailing list, I ask you for your email address and your first name. That's so I can say, hi, first name, and I can send it to your email list. Until you do something else, I don't need anything else but that. Once you place an order with me, I get all your information, and it's all nice and legal that I've got your information, and you're already probably on my mailing list, so it's okay for me to email you, okay? But for now, only ask for what you absolutely have to communicate with them. Anything else creates what we call friction, and the more friction you introduce in the process, the more opportunities you give for somebody to step away or to abandon their action. Now, we'll talk a little bit about mailing lists, or we'll talk a lot about mailing lists next month, but you want to make sure that you have the ability to segment your audience in whatever mailing list system you're using. And one of the segments you want to do is you want to put a source in there. So if they clicked on a Facebook post and the call to action was subscribe to the mailing list, then you want to tag them as Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, whatever. You want to tag the source so you know what's working. Okay. And that's something you don't have to ask them for. So it's no additional friction, but you can collect that very easily. Same thing. You can also, if you're buying Google ads, you can tag them with your Google ads. Different mailing list systems support this in different ways. So I'm not going to tell you how to do it, but almost all mailing list systems support list segmentation. And you want to make sure that you understand that and understand how to do that so that you can segment, at least create a source segment for your list. Intent is another great segment. This is not so much their intent, but because you're not really a mind reader, but the intent of the ad. Was the ad designed to make a purchase, or was the ad designed to drive mailing list subscriptions? Hang on just one second. I'm about to get attacked by the Roomba. And I need to shut that off. You need to understand the intent of the post that you're doing. There we go. The post that you're creating, so that you can help yourself better target the people with this information. So what is the intent of the post that you're making? And every one of your remember we said 5 to 1? Every one of the ones, you should be able to sit there and say, the point of this one is X. I've got some friends who are doing some videos and I'm helping them with them. I think we talk about it a little bit in a minute, but they got ready for the next one. And the first thing I asked is, okay, what's the point? They got a great topic, but what's the point of going through the 3-hour process of setting up all this equipment, recording the video, editing the video, all of this stuff? What's the point of doing this? And that's the intent. Is the intent to drive people to the website, the mailing list, or to a purchase or something else? The middle of your funnel, this is your content. This is where your content strategy comes into play. Once you get them to your site, once you've got that first click, you need to give them a reason to come back. And the more often they come back, the more likely they are to purchase. And it's easy to get people to click. You know, you don't need clickbait. You need interesting content. Your content strategy serves one single purpose, and that's to make people like you and trust you. Remember the know, like, trust. To do this, you need a regular drip of good content being produced. Now, in the early days of web marketing, a content strategy was simply to crank out as many keyword-laden posts as fast as you can so the search engines would all notice you, hopefully. And the point was, if you got the search engine to notice you, then obviously people searching would hopefully notice you, okay? A lot of SEO experts made a lot of money building this kind of content strategy. These days, this is not a valid strategy. If you are marketing using social media, you're marketing to your community, you want your community to know, like, and trust you, then you have to produce content that is useful to them. You have to engage them, you have to educate them, and this is the important part, you have to become their partner in success. I don't care how you define success. You still have to become their partner. When my local dive shop posts on Facebook, they have to eventually convince me that my success as a recreational diver is tied to me being active with them. And they do a good job of that. You have to convince your community that you're there to help them and to be their partner. Because I got news for you. By participating in this webinar, you are in that middle funnel for SiteGround. This is the strategy that they pay me to do. Now, I'm not the total part of this strategy, but it is my job to create content that is interesting enough so that people show up. People like you. You're now part of a content strategy. And if I can do it, you can do it. It's just a matter of creating content that people are going to be interested in. I don't blog or podcast or do these webinars for search engines. I could care less if the search engines ever pick up my content, because that's not the strategy. I create content that helps people, hopefully helps you. That's the only valid content strategy there is these days. If you don't have time to execute that properly, hire someone. Find an industry expert in your industry that can communicate good information to your community. They don't have to be hour-long webinars. They don't have to be 30-minute podcasts. We're talking 250-word blog posts posted every week. If you can do that and build and write good content that helps people, you're building a content strategy. I was talking to you about my friends that are doing live videos. They were doing Facebook videos, and they were getting decent pickup on them. The problem is Facebook videos are just a live one-off event. Yeah, they're recorded, and for a week or two, people still can discover them. But after that, it gets buried, and all of that effort, and it is a lot of effort to produce a live event, all that effort's gone. Now I'm working with them to produce those live events and post the finished and edited videos out to YouTube. Strip out the audio and produce a monthly podcast, audio-only podcast. Transcribe that audio, break it up into 500-word ideas, and post it as individual blog posts. And then use pictures taken during the event and stills from the video as a source for social media. All of this links back to YouTube, where people can watch the original video, and the YouTube video has links to the websites and the products being discussed. Now, yeah, it takes a little more effort to do all of that than just turn on the camera and talk to people on Facebook. But it's worth it. Repurposing that content is worth it, because now you've got content that you can link to and share all month instead of just once. And since it's on your site and not just on social media, you can reshare each piece several times. On the average, I share 4 pieces of content in a month and reshare a previous month's content at least 3 times. One of my Twitter accounts, and the PHP community is on Twitter, so I do a lot of work on Twitter. But one of my Twitter accounts is Elephant, ELEPHANT, because it's PHP's mascot is an elephant. That's my podcast. Every week I post, hey, here's our new episode. But then I also, every day, I post a link to a previous episode from the past 12. I think I have a rolling 12 months. And so I share that. Now, since I've got 52 weeks of content, you'd never see the same thing twice in any time frame. Matter of fact, I know for a fact that if you start posting the same thing to Twitter over and over again within a 10-day window, they will block your account. They do not like that. I've pushed Twitter in every way possible and know most of the rules and regulations they have. So you don't want to do it just because it's going to make Twitter mad, but your audience is not going to be interested in that. But you can reshare the content, okay? Now, if you're worried about people seeing the same content too often, well, you can mitigate that in a couple ways. First is to ramp it up. My podcast is 6 years old. I've got 352 episodes, I believe. So I've got enough content that I can repurpose, okay? If you're just starting out, don't share every day. Share every other day or share once a week. You've got your new content, and once a week you share something else. And once you've got 10 episodes, then you can start sharing like every other day and stuff like that. And it'll get easier. And then once you get to the point where you can share something, once you get to the point where you've got 30 pieces of content or more, then you can start sharing once a day because nobody's going to see the same thing in the same month. Also, just because you share it doesn't mean everybody saw it. On Facebook, unless you're paying to post it, about 2 to 5% are actually going to see your shares. So post often. It's no big deal. On Twitter, I spread mine out. Since I talk to a worldwide audience, I'll post some at 2 a.m. to catch the Europeans, and I'll post some late at night to catch the Australians. You've got to move things around. You can't just post the same thing every day, every time. Now we come to the small end of our funnel. All of this effort, and 98% of the people that start on your big end will fall out of your funnel. I always wondered why they didn't call this a sales sieve, okay? Because that's all people do is just fall out. The ones that stick around, though, they're really interesting. And you've got them primed, and now it's time to get them to take action. Now, notice I didn't say buy. A lot of times, all of this effort is just so you can get somebody on your mailing list. Remember, on social media, you don't own those relationships. The network can decide on a whim that you're no longer welcome and suspend or cancel your account. And if you're thinking, oh, that could never happen, I'm not offensive. Look, I've seen this happen before, okay? But not for offensive, but because the network decided they're going to do something similar and they don't want you competing with them. If you get them on your mailing list, that relationship is now yours. And nobody but the other person in that relationship can take it away from you. Once you have them there, you're free to talk to them however you want, how often you want, with whatever message you want them to have. Let's do a little bit of marketing math, okay? If I've got 1,000 followers on Facebook and I post my latest sale on Fat Beard's whiskey-infused coffee beans on Facebook. If I don't pay Facebook, around 2% of my followers will see it organically. So about 20 people will see it. If I boost it, I might get that up to 200, depending on how much I pay. Still, 200 is better than 20 because only 2% of those that see it are actually going to buy. So this means without boosting, I will sell 0. But if I boost, I can get my sales up to 2. Now, if boosting costs me $20 and each jar of Fat Beard's whiskey-infused coffee beans nets me a $5 profit, I've lost money. I've lost $10 on that deal. Now, if I've got 1,000 subscribers to my mailing list and I send out a message to my list advertising a members-only special of Fat Beard's whiskey-infused coffee beans for $30 a jar, my open rate on average is going to be about 35%. That's about average for an actively maintained list. So 350 people have now seen it. On the average list of the people that open, 2% will actually convert to sales. So that's 7. 7 times $5, I make $5 a jar, is $35. So with Facebook, I've lost $10. With my mailing list, I've now made $35. Now, I can only afford to lose money so long before I decide Facebook's just costing me too much per sale. My mailing list, however, I can send specials out anytime I want. And I can make these special offers, and I can even send different offers to different people. Like I can send one email to those who didn't bother to open the first one. And I can send another email to those who opened the first one, but did not click through or did not buy. And then I can send yet another offer to those who bought from me on the first one, give them another little special promo. And I can continue to test and continue to refine my message on this. One mailing list that I'm a member of sends me a new email each week educating me about cigars. Now, you might not think there's a lot to educate about cigars. It's a known subject, but the guy that writes it used to live in Cuba and used to work on a plantation there and used to roll them. And now he works in Tampa and he's got his own shop. And so once a week, he sends out an email. Once a month, I get a special email with them with an offer just because I'm part of the mailing list. Now, I like cigars, but now I know and I trust this vendor. This vendor has shown me that they know what they're talking about. So when my humidor gets empty, I go to this vendor's website who I know and like and trust. This is just a little primer on mailing list, and we're going to dive much deeper into mailing list next month. I've got a special guest who'll be here just to help you understand all of that. Now, the other call to action is a sale. Now, if you're selling small point of sale items, these are easy decisions to make, yes and no, then you can go for the sale early in the process. If Fat Beards had a $9.95 sample pack for any of my flavors, I'd advertise that directly on Facebook. I'd buy ads and test that out on Facebook or Google Ads or any of the social media networks to see how that would do. But if it's a more complex sale or if the price is higher, I probably wouldn't do that. What I want to do is get them on my list and get them involved. And at that point, I can start them down the path to purchase. Still, even if you're going to do that, asking for the sale early, that's kind of a risk. When a gentleman meets a woman and he's romantically interested in this woman, he doesn't ask for her hand in marriage on the first date. He spends many dates building that know, that like, and that trust first. In doing so, his chances are much better of getting a yes than if he just asked that question on the first date. You have to think of your relationship with your potential buyers like this. You have to build that trust. You have to let them get to know you. They have to like you, and then they're going to start purchasing. Remember we talked about that 5-to-1 rule? Make that one count. If you're posting an offer or something to get them on your mailing list or something like that, never post it without a URL. Never post it without never post your one without some sort of call to action that gets them to take that next step, that next baby step. Once you can get them on your site, then you can get them on your mailing list. Once you get them on your mailing list, then you can start selling on the product. Okay, to wrap this up. Yes, social media is important, but it does have its place. Do not expect to get rich on Facebook ads. There's only one person in the world that's getting rich on Facebook ads, and that's Mark Zuckerberg. Everybody else, no. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. If you find an offer that you are paying Facebook $100 for and you're making $110 as off of it, invest every dollar you have in that till that changes. But most people aren't like that. Okay. You need to know when and how to use social media. You need to understand not only the concept of a marketing funnel, but what yours is going to look like before you start doing anything. Be a constructive part of your community. That's how you build the know, like, and trust. And then you can sell. And it has to be in that order. Okay. Now, SiteGround is going to send you an email, assuming you checked the email box when you signed up. If you did not check the email box when you signed up, then you will not get the URLs for these books. These are 4 of my favorite marketing books. If you're going to read them, and I highly recommend you do, please read them in this order. Seth Godin's This is Marketing. That is the best primer on why to do marketing there is. Seth is been doing internet marketing and permission marketing since the 90s. Man knows his stuff. Then Donald Miller over in Nashville, where I used to live, building a story brand. He tells you step by step how to do this. Okay. It is literally, if you buy the physical book, there are worksheets in there that you fill out and you say, oh, that's what it is. I've got my copy. I bought the audiobook and listened to it, loved it so much. I listened to it 3 times. And then, is that one? Yes. Hey, I got my copy right here on my desk. It never leaves my desk because I'm always referring to it. The Power of Habit and Alchemy are all about the psychology behind marketing. Believe it or not, there is a psychology behind marketing. And if you understand it and you understand how to use it, this is not a dirty trick that you're playing on somebody. This is how we are wired as humans. And if you understand it, you will be a better marketer. So SiteGround will send you out an email thanking you for attending, and they will send you links to these 4 books on Amazon. I highly recommend them, each one of them. It should take you 4 to 6 weeks to work through all of them, but it's going to be time well spent. Trust me. If you're like me, I get the audio versions of everything. I listen to them. This is what I listen to when I'm doing my workout. I don't have a power workout playlist or anything like that. I listen to marketing books. I'm that much of a nerd. Hey, I want to thank you all for taking the time to be here.